Science!
Welcome everybody to another edition of the DHL. This is the Dills Hearthstone League season number 4. And this is the first cast match of the season. We are in week number 1. Today we have codemonkey on the top, rocking Druid, Paladin, and Priest with his Mage getting banned. And Gator will be on the bottom. He has Mage, Priest, and Shaman, and his Druid has been banned. Once these players get started up, we will jump right on into game number 1. Again, this is the first week of Season 4. And I am back, by the way, in this season. So you will see me playing some games as well. Should be a lot of fun. And here we go. They're going into game number 1 now. And it is Druid for codemonkey. And Gator is rocking the Shaman deck. And looks like he is playing the token version. He's got the Fireflies, the Flame Tongue, and the Jade Lightning. And codemonkey appears to be rocking a Jade Druid. So getting a pretty decent evolve and putting a lot of early pressure on is going to be very important for Gator. The most important thing here for codemonkey is going to be repelling all of that early pressure. Getting a pretty solid Jade train going. Which he does have a significant amount of Jade cards in his opening hand. But Gator's got a nice opening hand as well. He's got a lot of early minions to play with double Firefly being drawn, as well as the Flame Tongue Totem, to be able to contest a lot of the things that codemonkey is going to be able to do. Codemonkey does have the Wild Growth here, so can Wild Growth now on turn 2, going into a turn 4 Jade Spirit, and then a turn 5, well, it would be a turn 3 Jade Spirit, and then a turn 4 coined Jade Behemoth, which would put a lot of power onto the board very quickly, and get that Jade count pretty high right away. Primal Fin Totem picked up. That plus a Firefly means that there's going to be a lot of pressure on the board already. There is an Evolve in the hand, as well as a Jade Lightning and the Flame Tongue Totem, so lots of tools to be able to utilize these small bodies. And no swipe as of yet, so codemonkey's just going to have to hope that continuing to put down these Jade cards is going to contest the board effectively. And I think if you're codemonkey, you can't really divert from the plan just yet. Even though it sucks and you're looking at a lot of little dudes right now. Tons and tons of tiny nerds on the side of Gator. I think if you're codemonkey, you have to just stick with the plan, which was wild growthing into the Jade Spirit. And he is going to go ahead and do that. It will summon a 2/2, and it will get a 3/3 on the next turn with the 3/6 Jade Behemoth. Gator's got some options here. Flame Tongue is a pretty effective way to start cleaning up this board state. He's also going to be playing 2 more totems this turn, which means Thing from Below will only cost 2 or even 1 next turn if he pushes the button again. And we'll be able to continue to clean up all of the early minions. And codemonkey's starting to feel the pressure pretty quick, but he does have, you know, he's got Wrath. He needs to draw at some point a swipe. But he can go ahead and coin out the Jade Behemoth here. Jade Behemoth will eat up some of this board. Might be thinking, though, that he needs to Wrath that Flame Tongue Totem. And if he were to do that, unfortunately, he wouldn't have a great follow-up. So I kind of like just coining out the Behemoth first. It's a tricky spot here for codemonkey. None of these options feel that great right now. But I think you just kind of have to play out your cards, hope that you can draw into a swipe at some point. Look, he is going to go ahead and use the Wrath, though. Kill off that Flame Tongue Totem. Flame Tongue Totem is presenting a ton of problems right now, so I don't mind this play at all. I think just going to go for the armor here. Yeah, it does just go for armor. With the Feral Rage. Another Primal Fin Totem, but that's going to be too many minions on the board here. So I think we're going to see probably something like a Totem and a Thing from Below. Or even just the Thing from Below, as he'll still get 1 more free Murloc here from the Primal Fin. Not even going to play the Thing from Below, just going to respect the fact that the board clear would be the biggest problem for him right now. There is an Aya, so you know, Gator has probably lethal with a Bloodlust here. It's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. It actually wouldn't be lethal, so Code Monkey could just drop Aya. He's probably thinking about counting this up.
I wonder.
Aya or the Jade Behemoth. It's important to kind of understand exactly how much damage Bloodlust is going to do to you when you're in Code Monkey's position here. I'm going to go ahead and drop the Jade Behemoth first. That's going to at least eat up some of this damage. And it's actually going to eat up a significant portion because there is no second Flame Tongue Totem. There is no Bloodlust. But there is the Jade Lightning, so can use a couple of these minions to go ahead and then pop Jade Lightning off, which is only summoning a 1/1 at this point. This is the first Jade card that we've seen out of Gator so far. And then he could drop the thing from below and then continue to trade in as he's going to keep getting free 1/1s from the Primal Fin Totem. Alright, so still continuing to keep that board pressure high. But Code Monkey is looking at creating a fairly large Jade here already. Unfortunately now, let's see, it would be 15 plus 7, so 22. Still would not be lethal with the Bloodlust. So he can go ahead and just play this Aya Blackpaw. Fortunately, Aya is only making a 4/4, so he might want to actually play Aya and then Earthen Scales the 4/4 to make it contest the thing from below. Just going to drop it without the scales, though. He's looking to get more value out of that in the future. Aya Blackpaw now for Gator as well. And this isn't... So far, none of this has been fantastic evolve spots here for Gator, so that evolve is kind of dying in his hand at the moment, but it still should get value whenever he decides to actually pull the trigger on that. And I would expect that we'll see the Doppelgangster happen before he decides to pull that trigger. So that's, yeah, there you see the free trade happening, which is one of the reasons why you might have wanted to put the Earthen Scales on that 4/4. Patches will clear up this Aya, but a 5/5 will pop out. Again, getting another free 1/1. So far, this 2-mana 0/3 has given him at least 4 1/1s. And that's a lot of value. Looks like we're going to go ahead and see a Nourish happen now. Nourishing for cards, I'd imagine. Probably wants to pick up like a Swipe and an Innervate. Doesn't find either of those options. Which means we might have to see just a Jade Blossom come down and then make some trades here. If he kills the 5/1, there'd be 1, 2, 3 plus 18.
I wonder.
I'm going to use the face here, and then go ahead and gain a little bit of health. Could also choose to just rock this Jade Idol out as a 6/6. I don't think the game is going to fatigue, so I don't think you need to shuffle this Jade Idol. In fact, this game is definitely not going to fatigue, so I kind of would like to see the Jade Idol just played as a 6/6 here. We're just going to go ahead and gain 6. This could become a turning point here, though, as Gator cannot find that Bloodlust. Interesting decision now. Stonehill Defender or Aya Blackpaw? Goes with the Stonehill. Finds a White Eyes, a thing from below, and an Ancient. Gonna go with the White Eyes, and I think we're gonna see it come down right away. Yep. White Eyes is a very, it's a deceiving pick in this deck. It looks so good, but in some situations it really doesn't do much other than just be a 5-mana 5/5 taunt. Fantastic pickup now for Code Monkey, the Primordial Drake. He can pop that thing down and clean up all these little nerds that are causing so many problems, and put up a big taunt, and clean off the 1/4. The Primal Fin Totem will still continue to exist on the board.
What to do?
Actually, though, no, can't. He won't have enough attacks to do that, and then also be able to clean up the Primal Fin, even with the coin. But I think at this point, you need to drop that Primordial Drake. I don't think you can hold back on that. It is a pretty big swing card, though.
What to do?
Code Monkey's going to consider all of his options here. Does still have coin with the wild growth for a pretty big Gadget and Auctioneer turn next turn. So should be able to draw through quite a bit of his deck.
Time waits for no one.
But one of the interesting things about this matchup is you see Jade Idol being held back for shuffling because it's the second one. You always have to kind of just determine whether the game is a game that's going to go to fatigue or not. If the game is going to be won before the fatigue ever happens, then it's oftentimes better to just go ahead and get your Jade out as quick as possible. But since he's going to be cycling so heavily with the Gadgets and Auctioneer, you might be able to draw into a whole bunch of Jade Idols and get a bunch of free giant minions. Alright, this could be the turning point here. Codemonkey's going to be able to draw quite a bit right now. You can drop the Gadget Sand, then you can go with the Wild Growth, which will get you the excess mana spell, which will draw. You can also use the coin to get one more draw.
Well played.
And might be able to turn the tides here. Looks like we're going to see the Jade Idol shuffled first. I believe he's shuffling, yep. Every day he's shuffling. Wild Growth into excess mana. And got an Innervate as well, so can go ahead and use the Innervate. I think you just want excess mana first, though. It draws you 2 cards. Then you can decide whether you need the Innervate this turn or not. There's another one of the Jade Idols. And a Jade Spirit. Gonna Innervate as well. And there's a Jade Behemoth. So lots and lots of great options now. Could go ahead and just drop this Jade Spirit. He uses up all of the rest of the mana in hand. Could also go with Jade Blossom and Jade Idol to give him a 6/6 and a 6/7. And there's the swipe. I'm gonna go with Earthen Scales instead, though. And I think I'd like to see the 6/2 kill a minion, but goes face with it instead. Let's see, does that set up a lethal possibility with swipe? I mean, you know the 5/4 is not going to be there anymore. 6/2 is going to be gone, so it's not setting up any lethal opportunities. But I believe the board has flipped in the favor of Codemonkey now, and unless Gator can find Doppelgangster and Bloodlust, those are going to be the 2 biggest cards now, I think, remaining here. Plays out the Bloodsoul Corsair, even though he was going to get another free Primal Fin Murloc, so didn't necessarily need to do that, but looks like the Evolve is going to just happen. Finds a Lorewalker Cho.
That's incredible.
And a Doomsayer. So now Codemonkey can decide whether he wants to actually kill that Doomsayer off. There's no lethal right now. Could drop Primordial Drake and then use the Gadget and Auctioneer to kill off the 0/7. Then he could kill off the Lorewalker Cho and continue to play Jade Idols or Wraths. Lots of options here for Codemonkey. It's going to clear most of the board and still put up that 4/8 taunt. So I think I'd like to see the Primordial Drake happen here. Thinking through all of his options here. There's always the potential when you evolve a whole bunch of 1-cost minions, which your totems are. Now you can always end up with one of these guys. You may not even see the Primordial Drake this turn.
Time waits for no one.
We might just be seeing a swipe. Yeah, it looks like we're going to see a swipe and maybe a Jade Behemoth instead. Swiping the Doge. Interesting call. I still would have just swiped the 4/3, but it makes sense as well. Alright, maybe you get lucky off another Evolve here. Probably going to have to, otherwise you're facing down a ton of damage. There's 20 damage staring him down right now. 20 damage does not represent lethal, and a swipe was just used. That being said, it's close enough in most cases. It's going to evolve first. I think I would have liked to have seen the totems hit the board before the evolve there, just to give you a little bit more opportunity to find something. But that's going to do it. Codemonkey's going to take game number 1 in a situation where it looked like he was in a lot of trouble, is able to pull out the win there and get a win with that Druid deck. That means codemonkey is up 1-0 and his Druid is off the table. He still has Paladin and Priest remaining, and Gator can still play the Shaman, the Priest, or the Mage. We'll see what these players decide to bring into game number 2. I'm trying to think of matchups here as far as Paladin and Priest are concerned. The Shaman feels like it could have a little bit of an issue with the Priest just because Dragonfire Potion wiping your board one time, which it just shuts down all of your progress. So may want to go with his own Priest or the Mage here instead of re-queuing with the Shaman. Shaman's best matchup is going to be that Paladin, I think, for sure. So you want to try to avoid running into the Priest if at all possible. Continues to queue the Shaman, though. This is actually a thing you see quite often in Conquest battles. Somebody loses and then they just re-queue the same deck. Generally, it's because it's the deck they feel the most comfortable with. So the keep of Devolve and Maelstrom Portal is actually pretty interesting against a lot of Paladin decks, especially if there's Murlocs involved. You get rid of a lot of that synergy, and then a lot of those Murlocs tend to, once they get devolved, die to Maelstrom Portals. Gonna drop the Firefly, and then he'll have the Jade Claws next turn to be able to clean up this 1-3. And looks like codemonkey's got no choice but to just make a Silverhand Murloc here. There is an Evolve already. We're likely to see Jade Claws come out. Now the decision is whether to coin. I like holding back on the coin, though, because you're overloaded going into next turn. And Gator does hold back on that coin. codemonkey has a nice turn 3 play here with Stonehill Defender. Stonehill Defender, amazing. And Paladin. However, these choices, not so amazing. Infested Tauren's the best out of these 3. The other 2 are just such garbage cards. They're not even options. And the Flametongue Totem pickup is going to be very important, especially if you can continue to apply pressure to this board. Here I think I would like to see coin Flame Elemental on the left-hand side, but looks like he's going to hold back. Just because it gives you the ability to have an attack for the next turn. Without charge minions, so without drawing the Bloodsail Corsair, there's no option to get value out of the Flametongue Totem on the next turn. But a couple of 2 health Murlocs hit the board, so I think we're going to see Gator go for the 25%er here. If he hits Spell Power, he can clean up this board. It's not hit Spell Power. It does have the ability to drop Primal Fin Totem. Should go on the left-hand side. A little unfortunate not to be able to roll that Spell Power, but again, it was only a 25%er. Pretty nice pickup there. Don't know if it's necessary this turn. The Consecrate is going to find value at some point in this game. So we might just see a True Silver Champion hit the board. That'll clean up the Flametongue Totem. And then you can use the other minions to clean up the Primal Fin Totem. And get rid of all that extra value that Gator's looking for. Gonna use the Consecrate, though. It kind of does the same thing, except that, you know, the True Silver Champion would be equipped next turn, and the Consecrate would still be in hand. And you almost end up with the same outcome, except obviously there's no 1/1s on the board. However, those 1/1s don't represent too much without the ability to have the second Flame Tongue. But now that the one Flame Tongue is out of the way, it's very rare for the second Flame Tongue to be there. However, this is a totally acceptable line as well. Alright, turn 6. There's a Murloc War Leader. Pretty powerful card. Not really necessary just yet. Could go ahead and just drop Infested Tauren and a Hero Power, and it can still clean up quite a bit. Yeah, that seems to be the most likely line that we're going to see out of codemonkey. It all gets contested. It's going to use the War Leader, though, instead, and just start pushing for damage. Not going to respect the board of Gator at all. This could blow up in his face here a little bit. A Devolve could come in very handy. Devolve with Maelstrom Portal. And gets all one minion or one health minions. That's huge for Gator. Gonna be able to clean up the entire board. Gets the spell power now, even though he doesn't need it anymore. And now we gotta figure out which one of these minions gets getaway coded. I think it's the it's the Wisp. The worst possible option. And Gator does have the Bloodlust in hand, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 18, so 22.
The menagerie is for guests only.
But the Curator's going to stand in the way of that, and there's a huge pickup, Primordial Drake, which is one of the reasons why Curator's so good on 7, is you always find Primordial Drake for turn number 8. So I think we might have to see the Doppelgangster come down this turn. Get some evolve value. He's just deciding whether he needs to make at least one more attack to make space for the Doppelgangster. Wow, we're not going to see Doppelgangster hit the board here. Interesting. Unless he's going to use all 3 of these Doppelgangster coin evolve. That could happen as well. Really, not going to do that either. That's quite interesting. A full hand now for Codemonkey to work with. The Primordial Drake doesn't seem very necessary anymore. Could just start reloading the board.
I wonder.
Lots and lots of power here. So could just start reloading the board and trying to get a lot of power on the board to contest anything that Gator would do next turn. Also has the equality with the Primordial Drake option. But gonna go ahead and just make the attack. Drop the Drake now. Alright, this is a pretty fantastic evolve turn here. And I think Gator has to do it. He's at 11 health. So you go Doppelgangster, Thing from Below. And then I guess if you're scared of the Doomsayer, you don't totem, but I think you totem. It's such a small chance to get wrecked by the Doomsayer here. And finds, wow, pretty powerful. It's Illidan, a Fight Promoter, and a Charging Argent Commander. A Stone Sentinel, and a Fire Plume Harbinger. Still a pretty solid board. For turn number 8. Let's see. Is that... There's no lethal here, right? No lethal here. The Primordial Drake was just used, so there's no possibility to use a quality Primordial Drake type shenanigans, but you aren't necessarily concerned about death just yet. If you're Codemonkey. So, I guess the question now is, are you scared enough of this Illidan to use an equality here? Might be going for a Megasaur play. A little bit of this is a tricky turn, to be sure. Because you definitely want to use a True Silver Champion to clean something up. So I'm actually not sure exactly what Codemonkey's best option is. Yeah, I think he'd like to at least do that. Drop the infested. Yeah, I like this. I like just putting as much as you can on the board. Cleaning some stuff up. Not a lot you can do about all of this board, so you just clean up what you can. There's another Bloodlust. Bloodlust will not get lethal here, but could be used just to power through this Taunt Mean and get a bunch of face damage in. Actually, wouldn't mind seeing that. I'm going to take a little bit of a conservative route here, though. Try to clean up as much as possible. I guess the question now is, do you drop a Doppelgangster? And I think you're trying to set up a Bloodlust, so I think you have to drop that Doppelgangster. You've seen the Equality and a Primordial Drake, so I think it's a little bit of a misplay not to drop Doppelgangster. You're trying to close the game out. I would have liked to have seen that, or at least the coin just to make some 2-1s for the Illidan. Yeah, I think using one of these Bloodlusts that turn would have been a pretty good option, actually, because you're trying to close the game out before you let Paladin just solidify. I think that was a little too conservative there on Gator's part. I think you need to make a move for the face there. And we're going to see a Gentle Megasaur turn here. Gentle Megasaur gets something like Taunt. Taunt is there, but Divine Shield is very, very tempting. Let's see. Can clean up the Illidan. So yeah, you see here, if the Doppelgangsters were down, I believe that Gator would have just had lethal here, but instead, he is now facing down a board that he cannot deal with. So yeah, Doppelgangster needed to happen last turn. That's unfortunate. I understand he's scared of Consecrate, and he's scared of he's scared of different cards that could wipe his board from codemonkey. But you're gonna lose the game just slower if you don't drop the Doppelgangster at this point. I think it's pretty important to just go ahead and just have gotten that down. You see, I mean, actually, he would have just had lethal this turn. He would have just won the game. Now that doesn't necessarily mean anything because maybe codemonkey played that turn differently. But you're just slowly wilting away here while codemonkey continues to put stronger minions than you will ever have onto the board. It's possible it's a little too late now. There's 9 damage on board, 10 with the Rockpool Hunter. This Gentle Megasaur could find lethal with +1/+1 or +3 or Wind Fury. So 3 options. 3 options is about 70% to hit one of those. So I think if you're codemonkey, you got to go for that play. And even if you don't get that, you could get another Divine Shield. You could get Taunt. You could get Death Rattle, drop 1/1s. Yeah, this is a pretty likely lethal here. And if you're concerned about that too, I think you just make a... Oh my goodness. He's not even going to go for the lethal. He's just taking the trades. That was a 70% lethal right there. I mean, at the same time, this pretty much locks up the game 100%. So it's not necessarily like that this was the wrong play. Primordial Drake does not do much, but kind of does something. You can make some trades first. You can remove at least the 5/4 and the 2/3 with Primordial Drake. However, it does just die for free to the 8/8. But Fin Creeper and Twin Emperor don't really do anything. It looks like he's just going to try to hope that going as wide on the board as possible and somehow find a way to get this win. But I think Gator is pretty much run out of juice here. Not sure what he's saving that weapon swing for. Might as well have just gone into the face with that. Does Equality win the game? Not quite. But there is no lethal here, so Gator has found a way to extend the game, at least for another few turns. And we'll see if codemonkey can find a way to crack through this final line of defense here. Lots and lots of different options, though. You're not really concerned about your health at 27, so go ahead and drop a Finja and a Gentle Megasaur. Try to find like another Divine Shield or plus attack, get a little bit more face damage in. So Poisonous doesn't quite get lethal, but powers right on through the 3/6. Then gets 8 damage into the face. And I think that's just going to wrap this up. I don't see any way for Gator to come back here. It's kind of unfortunate because Gator would have actually won had he played that Doppelgangster. But instead, just not able to find enough damage, not able to get any minions to stick. Maybe got a little bit too conservative there in the middle of the game. And that's going to mean that Paladin will pick up a win. And codemonkey will go up 2 games to nothing. And only Priest is left Needs to find a win with just the priest deck. I need to find another beer. Be right back. Okay, so now we've got a priest mirror match. We shall see here what these two decks consist of. See the Cabal Talon Priest and the Tar Creeper. So looks like Gator's got some sort of a control style priest, and Codemonkey looks to have Dragon Priest. As we see the Nether Spite Historian and the Twilight Drake. Pretty nice hand here for Codemonkey. Might just hold on to the whole thing. Mana Geodes and Dragonfire Potions. This Dragonfire Potion is going to be a pretty dead card here against the Dragon Priest of Codemonkey. See if the Mana Geodes can get their infinite value. It's a card you don't see very much of.
Blessings to you.
Got the interesting combination though. Mana Geode with Northshire Cleric.
Blessings to you.
Let's see if Codemonkey fears this Mana Geode.
Thank you.
Could just go ahead and pain it now if he's worried about it. Looks like he is a little concerned. Well, there comes the pain. I think I'd like to see Mana Geode plus Northshire Cleric hit the board here for Gator. I don't think you can hold back on tempo here. I think you just need to get as much out as you can. And that's exactly what comes down. And with the pain out of the way and Bookworm several turns off, this Mana Geode's going to at least get to live a turn here. However, the 4/7 Twilight Drake, I believe, 4/6 Twilight Drake, will contest it. Can go. Oh wow, Cabal Songstealer. If it was one turn earlier, we'll be able to make an interesting play here of just buffing up that Mana Geode, getting it out of range of the 4 attack Twilight. And it does become a little bit of a problem. The power of the Mana Geode, everybody, on display. The Codemonkey looking through his options here. Not fantastic stuff to do, unfortunately, but could go for another Spite Historian. Does also have the ability to drop the Radiant Elemental with double Power Word Shield this turn. Not going to use the Radiant, though. Just going to go ahead and Power Word first. Finds the Lyra, so may want to hold on to the second Power Word Shield. Alex Strauss is a very interesting choice. Although Scaled Nightmare could be pretty good against... I like the Alex Strauss pick, though, yeah. The problem with the Scaled Nightmare is the turn it's dropped, it's just susceptible to Shadow Word Pains. So Song Stealer comes down. It's going to make that a 4/1. Cannot heal it this turn. And actually, Codemonkey doesn't technically have any way to deal with it as of yet. Looks like we're just going to see more Nether Spite Historians come down. There's a Draconid Operative. The best card possible out of these three. Although Ysera and Deathwing are pretty tempting. But I think you got to take the Operative. I mean, Operative is just way too good of a card. Does grab that Operative. And now just kind of going through what the options are for the rest of the turn here. Possibly just the Radiant and maybe another Powered Shield. Or maybe just play the Radiant just as a 2/3. Go face with your 1/3. Problem is the Powered Shield doesn't actually take anything out of range of this Cabal Songstealer, so... There is a Lyra. I think you probably want to open up here with a heal on your Mana Geode. He's going to do that first. Gets a free 2/2 and a card. And now can go ahead and keep buffing up that Geode if he wants. make it just the most untouchable geode of all time. Codemonkey draws into Primordial Drake. Bookworm is going to come down. We'll be able to remove the Geode or the Northshire Cleric. But either one of these, I mean, the other one's going to give value, so a little bit of a tough spot here. So Pain will clear up this 3/6. And it'll cycle with Lyra, giving a random card. A Mind Control. Now that could be a very interesting card indeed in this matchup. A 3/4. So people in chat are asking, Never Legend player here. In the Priest Mirror, I find the operative an interesting choice. What could you be looking for better than a Ysera in your opponent's deck? The thing is that Ysera is a 9 mana card, can only be played on turn 9, and it uses up your entire turn. Whereas a Draconid Operative not only puts a 5/6 body on the board, but also draws you another card at the same time. So it gives you immediate value and can be used in conjunction with other cards. So it is just a better card in almost every way. That being said, not like Ysera is a bad pick, but alright, so no more Pain available. The 3/7 Lyra is going to be a little bit of a... It's going to require some trading to get rid of. Could have gone for the heal there, but going to use the heal instead on something else. Oh, we're just going to see the Medivh come down. Okay, very interesting. Does have a Mind Control, but can't use that for another couple turns. We do see a Mind Control here in Codemonkeys as well, so they both got Mind Controls off of those Lyras. Interesting. Alright, one turn away from being able to drop the hammer a little bit with these Alexstrasza into Mind Control, or something like Primordial Drake could be pretty powerful here. I think we're just going to see the Dragonfire Potions. None of these are dragons. I definitely agree with this. You got to start getting rid of some stuff here. All these cards on the board are problems. Alright, Tar Creeper and Priest of the Feast, and can also heal up the Medivh as well. Now that you've seen the Dragonfire Potion, the other option too is to just go ahead and empty the hand and drop the Radiant Elemental, but I'm going to go ahead and utilize that hero power. I like that. Try to get as much value as you can out of it. And Codemonkey's in quite a bit of trouble here. Still a turn away from being able to Mind Control. Doesn't have the ability to taunt other than this Primordial Drake, which doesn't actually kill any of the minions on board. And so if he drops the Primordial Drake, the Mind Control will just end the game. However, I think it's his only option at the moment. Everything else, and you're dead. Well, actually, you're not dead if you Alexstrasza yourself here, right? Because 7, 10, 11, 12. So he wouldn't technically be dead if he Alexstrasza his own face. So with Caster Vision, we can see that that's actually the only play where he's not dead.
I bring life.
And he actually does see it. However, Mind Control on this Alexstrasza is still going to give you an 8/8 plus a 10 drop. And I think the writing's on the wall for this one. I think Gator's going to be able to walk away with this one pretty easily. And there is Yogg Saron. Hope's End. That's going to do it, I think, for this game. Not seeing a way out for Codemonkey. However, he's up 2 games to nothing, so he's not super concerned. No reason to sound the alarms just yet.
What is Elun's will?
Codemonkey's trying to figure out if there's any possible way out of this. But as It's going to go ahead and say, hey, at least I'm going to die with Yogg Saron on my side of the board. That's going to do it. Gator's going to pick up a game in this series, and he will go to a 2-1 deficit now, picking up a win with the Priest. And pretty big victory here, as he was down 2-0 and looking to avoid the sweep. So congratulations, Gator. Not going to get swept on stream. Is going to find a victory. Now has the Mage and the Shaman deck to still get through, but does have more information now about what this Priest deck is. So pretty nice not only to get the victory, but also to get a little bit of information on what the final deck is for your opponent, because your opponent cannot change anymore. In Conquest, you've only got the one deck left. When you get 2 quick wins, you have to find the 3rd win with only that deck. There's actually a fairly decent matchup here for the Mage as well. If you can control the board early on and get to your Alexstrasza and a bunch of your burn spells, you should be able to close the game out. We haven't seen in codemonkey's deck anyway yet. I don't believe we've seen Priest of the Feast, so there's no Priest of the Feast. That could definitely cause problems for codemonkey. You see a Doomsayer, so this is like the Cy Gunther Mage, Discover Mage that also rocks Doomsayer. I'm going to go ahead and go for the early Doomsayer. Interesting call here. I kind of like saving the Doomsayer for at least a little bit longer, because all you're killing here is a Northshire Cleric. You could save it for maybe turn 3, the turn before you see the big Twilight Guardian play, or Twilight Drake play. Interesting selections here. Shadow Word Pain will be able to kill Mana Worms, Cabal Couriers. Maybe if there's Water Elementals or something like that. A double Mana Worm drop could be pretty successful here. If both of them live, he's got Arcane Intellect on the next turn. However, we're going to see Radiant Elemental and Shadow Word Pain with absolutely no thought. Still looks like a fairly decent Arcane Intellect. Could also go for Cabal Courier, but Cabal Courier dies for free to the 2/3, so I like just drawing the cards. And finds some pretty useful stuff here. So Counterspell is just run in the deck. That's interesting for Gator. I'm kind of curious to see what his full deck list looks like. codemonkey has a pretty weak Twilight Drake now, as he's used up quite a few cards here. Probably just wants to keep the Twilight Drake now to activate the Bookworm. So Frostbolt Ping on the 3/4 could also go with the Frostbolt and the trade. And it looks like that is what's going to happen here. Gonna Fire Blast face. Interesting decision there. I think I like Fire Blasting the 3/4 instead, just because you force 3 of the mana of codemonkey to be used on healing. And then you'd still be able to ping the 3/4 on the next turn anyway if you wanted to. Whereas pinging the face doesn't actually do much here. Now you can make the trade and then heal, and then you have a 3/3 on board that you cannot ping. So if you force the heal to come before the trade, you'll see how the outcome changes, right? If he'd had to do the heal before he made the trade there, this would now be a 3/1 instead of a 3/3. And Gator would be able to ping this minion off this turn. So pinging the face, while it might have looked like pinging the minion did nothing there, pinging the minion actually did quite a bit. Another Mana Worm, Shadow Madness, and Malkazar's Imp. Shadow Madness is interesting against the Priest, but I think the only 3 attack minions or less we've seen so far are the Bookworm and the Cabal Talon Priest. The Healing Priest as well. Not much else, but codemonkey deciding whether it's time to use a Bookworm on just a 2/2. I think so. He agrees. So this Medivh is going to be a pretty big card here. Either Secrets could actually come into play, as codemonkey might take Secrets out of the deck of Gator. So interesting little tech card here. We're going to see a counterspell just happen right now. He's considering whether they just Shadow Madness the 3-2. It only kills one minion, but at least you're doing something this turn. So, and here, I'd like to see him... Okay, so he does ping the Bookworm this time. The damage to the face is almost insignificant, as most of the time you win by Alex Strazing the opponent. But you see here, by pinging the minion, now he can only heal it up to 4 attack, and then potentially the Flame Strike would have killed more minions on the next turn. However, with Medivh the Guardian coming down, I think he probably wants to hold back on that Flame Strike. We're just going to see a Fireball. Probably a Fireball and then into a Counterspell. So, not a lot of great options here for codemonkey. He doesn't want to play the Primordial Drake when he has the Bookworm in hand, because he wants to be able to activate that. So I think we're just going to see a heal and a pass. Does have Divine Spirit in hand, though, so looking for the Inner Fire. And I think we're just going to see Medivh hit the board. And actually now Medivh is hitting the board with the Counterspell in play. So this Shadow Word Death is not going to work here. Looks like we're going to see Twilight Drake into Shadow Word Death, and codemonkey's going to pray that that's not a counterspell. Going to use the Divine Spirit first. Alright, that was created by Shadow Vision, so that was actually a nice sequencing there by codemonkey. I didn't think he was going to use that, but I really like that play quite a bit.
Thank you.
Well, Flame Strike doesn't kill anything, but it does give you a 7-drop. However, your 7-drop needs to be able to contest both of these minions. So Counterspell, it's a 2-3. I don't think you want to continue using these small minions, though. Or these small spells, I mean, before getting a lot of value out of this ATS. Did find a way to kind of build up a bunch of small minions onto the board, but Primordial Drake will wipe those away. And did draw into Divine Spirit, so Divine Spirit will probably do some work here.
I wonder.
Actually a pretty precarious situation for Gator. Gator was far in the lead for quite a while, and has now become, I would say now is definitely behind. Primordial Drake is going to present a huge problem. Let's see if codemonkey decides to put the heal onto the 4-4. I think that would be the proper place to put it.
I wonder.
Does decide to put it there. And I think, oh, Blizzard could go Blizzard into Flame Strike, but Blizzard only makes a 6-drop. So gonna go for the Flame Strike first. A Sated Threshodon, not bad. Can also actually use the ping and the Imp Master to clean up the 4-1. And suddenly Gator's got the board back in a pretty significant way. This Sated Threshodon is a pretty strong minion here. You see this quite a bit in Arena, but it's not a card you see very often in Constructed. In fact, you see it never in Constructed. But it's a beast that summons 3 Murlocs, so there's a place for it, I would assume, at some point. Maybe in the future when some cards rotate out. But very strong card in Arena because you just drop a 5/7 and then you get 3 Murlocs out of it when it dies. So codemonkey is going to try to make the largest minion possible to set up for this Divine Spirit. Primordial Glyph is drawn. I don't know if there's any more secrets in Gator's deck. Oh my god, a Meteor. Meteor would clear the board. And that might be one of the final threats here. Archaeologist can also come down. Let's see if there are any more secrets in the deck. I would guess not. We've seen both counterspells and 2 ice blocks, so. And right now, an ice block and a counterspell are both active. And Codemonkey's suddenly running out of stuff. This mage has just exhausted him of resources. Arcane Intellect finds Medivh's Valet, and a Cabal Courier can also make more cards with the Cabal Courier. There's a Spellbender as well. Could be very interesting. Considering the fact that Counterspell is up, I wouldn't have minded seeing the Medivh's Valet hit the board. Alright. Counterspell on the Shadow Word Pain. Second Shadow Word Pain hits. And there is Alexstrasza. Do you even need Alexstrasza at this point, though? You don't necessarily need to, but it does put an 8-8 on the board. I think we're going to see Gator take this one pretty easily. Oh, there's a death drawn up the top. It means it's not over just yet. No, it actually is over because Medivh's Valet is going to deal the 3 damage. So 7 on board, 3 with the Medivh's Valet. There's a Frostbolt as well. And Gator is going to even this series up.
You are on fire.
And here we go. Game number 5. First match of the season. And we've already got ourselves a barn burner. So we're going to see the Shaman, which we know is a Bloodlust Shaman deck, which Gator has lost with twice already, going up against the Dragon Priest of Codemonkey. And this is a winner-take-all. This is game number 5. The series is tied 2 games to 2. Really, really fun match so far. This has been great. I think both players are playing really, really well. There has been some slight misplays here and there, but nothing too drastic, and most things I think you could probably make an argument for why the play was made in the way that it was. So, you know, they weren't like blatant misplays. So these two players are both playing very, very well here in week number 1. It's like there's no nerves. Both players have also played in DHL previously, so they're used to the competition. It's always interesting to see the lineups people bring in week number 1, though, as well, because that's kind of when everyone's ironing things out, figuring out what's working for them or not in the new meta.
Greetings.
Fantastic opening draw here for Gator. He's got Firefly into Primal Fin into Manatide into Jade Lightning. This is going to be tough to beat here for Codemonkey. He is able to go ahead and get another Spite on the board right away, though. And also does have Draconid and Twilight Drake. Immediately grabs the Draconid Operative without a single thought. Just grabs that bad boy.
Job's done.
Turn number 2 is a little interesting. Could just go, yeah, it goes for the second one. There's another Operative. Now 3 Operatives in Codemonkey's hand. That is quite good. But we do see the combo now for Gator. I think we're likely to just see a Manatide hit the board. No, gonna go for the interest thing. I would have liked to see Manatide come down while there's not enough power on board to kill it. If you could get 2 turns out of your Manatide totem, then that's just value. But decides he just wants to go for as many bodies as possible. It's going to get really tough, though, for Gator once Codemonkey hits that turn 5 and starts playing the Draconid Operative chain. Well, Jade Lightning will clean up the Northshire Cleric and can double trade into the 1-2. And I don't believe there's any AoE outside of Dragonfire Potion, so this board is fairly safe, at least for a little while here. There is a Twilight Drake, however, and lots of cards in the hand, so this is going to be a pretty huge Twilight Drake. I believe this is a 4-8. Yeah, 4-8. Four-eight's going to be able to do work here on this board full of little guys here. Oh, and then the Patches is drawn. I'd like to see the Manatide hit the board, even if it just cycles. Yeah, I think sometimes people can get a little bit too. And I think actually I would just go face with these 2 minions. Oh, see, there's a little mistake there. I want to point something out here. You'll notice that he had a healing totem on board, and he used the Flame Elemental to attack into a 1-1 when he could have attacked with this Jade Golem. The Jade Golem will always be a 1/1. This Flame Elemental would have been healed up to a 1/2. Very small mistake, but these are types of things that can add up over time. These are the little tiny mistakes that can be made that can definitely end up costing games in the long run. So I'd like to see the combo just happen here. Not gonna go for it though. Sunwalker is probably the best pick against a mage, or against the priest, as it has 4 health, or 4 attack, excuse me. But he's gonna take the Tar Creeper as it has immediacy. He can play it right away. But yeah, I'd like to see this evolve start to happen a little sooner here for Gator. I think he's a little too slow to pull the trigger on that. It's a little bit greedy with the Doppelgangster evolve, and as the game develops, it gets worse and worse. This combination is never going to get better than it is on turn 6. Making 3 6-drops on turn 6 is never going to get better. On turn 7, that's just 3 6-drops on turn 7. When is 3 6-drops the best? Turn 6, the earliest possible, right? Before any opponent could ever have a chance to deal with it. Now, I understand he might be playing around Dragonfire Potion. I totally get that. But I think in this scenario, I think you really just want to try to push your advantage as much as you can. As the longer the game goes, the bigger the advantage goes towards the Dragon Priest. This is kind of understanding matchup stuff here. You don't want to give Dragon Priest time to sit back and collect resources. Codemonkey just has a full hand right now. Just going to go ahead and play the Dragon and Operative. Might end up... devolve. Gonna have to play something here. I think he's gonna overdraw. He's gonna overdraw if he doesn't put something. Yeah, he doesn't have anything he can actually put out either. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, it's only 9 cards. Never mind. It's hard to tell actually when they're on the top there. Go for another Tar Creeper. Stubborn Gastropod feels pretty bad against the Priest because they do have Potion of Madness. But does take it. Oh, this is so bad against Potion. Looks like we're going to see a couple attacks and then a Maelstrom Portal, I think. Interesting. No Maelstrom Portal. Maelstrom would have just cleared that right up, but Gator really wants to get value out of these cards. Full hand here. And devolving this board doesn't feel very good, as none of these minions have very much value to begin with.
I wonder.
Alright, gonna play a Radiant, and only has 0 mana to work with, so can only use 1 mana spells from here on out. And use an Inner Fire, which isn't going to get much value here, unfortunately. I don't think you want to use, to be honest, on this turn. So, interesting little play there. Again, at 9 cards exactly, though. How much damage is this Bloodlust? So you can play a charge minion. So it's 1, 2, 3 plus 15. It's 18 damage. Not going to be enough to do a lethal job, but in conjunction with Maelstrom Portal could actually clean the board up pretty nicely.
Blessings to you. Do you need a blessing?
I'm just going to go ahead and use the Bloodlust just as a board management tool here. And I like it. I think you can't let this board get out of hand. So could use the 4-1 on the 5-4. 4-1 and 3-2 on the 3-6, 3-3 on the 2-2, and then gets 4 damage to face. Missed 1 damage face, but kept his healing totem. And still does have Doppelgangster evolve, so pretty effective Bloodlust there. Primordial Drake will clear up pretty much this entire board minus the Primal Fin Totem. And I think we're going to have to see Doppelgangster evolve. It just needs to happen. You need to be able to contest this. So he's sat on this thing for a long time, and now he needs to find the value out of it. So I'd like to see him go ahead and play the Bloodsoak Corsair, make a totem, and then evolve the entire thing. He's going to need to get a little bit of lucky here. And let's see what he ends up with. Not too shabby outside of the one guy that can't attack, but... Anyway, and the other guy that has 0 attack. But outside of that, 3 minions with 5 attack. One of them has 7 health. 1 minion has taunt. Pretty decent. Could have been better, could have been worse. Look, he's shadow visioning. He's probably looking for Dragonfire and finds it. And huge play there. Shadow visions into the Dragonfire. This is one of the reasons why Gator might have wanted to use that Doppelgangster evolve a long time ago. As the game has progressed, codemonkey's just developed more and more resources. I mean, look at just the ridiculous amount of resources codemonkey's sitting on. Just maybe waited a little too long there to pull the trigger. Is able to clear off the 4-8, but completely out of cards. Completely out of cards, and codemonkey's still at 22 health, so... I feel like it was just a little bit of a case of too much reluctance to use that Doppelgangster evolve early on in the game. Now you might be scared. Okay, the argument is you're playing around Dragonfire Potion, but you got to understand on turn 6 there's no ability to Shadow Visions into Dragonfire Potion, as you spend 2 mana on the Shadow Vision and you don't have 6 mana remaining to play the Dragonfire Potion, right? When you get to something like turn 8-9, you can Shadow Vision and you still have the 6 mana remaining. So also, the earlier that you play your Doppelgangster evolve, the less cards that have been drawn out of codemonkey's deck. You see, we're only 15. Half of the cards have now been drawn out of codemonkey's deck. When there's 8-9 cards drawn out of the deck, there's a much smaller chance for Dragonfire Potion to be in the hand. So it's always a better opportunity to use it early rather than late. It's actually kind of interesting. His hand is almost too full to pick the Ungoro pack, even though a lot of times you kind of want the Ungoro pack. I think you can probably just go ahead and take something like the Shadow Word Pain and use that to continue cleaning things up. So at this point now, Gator's real hope is to draw into something like Aya, into second Doppelgangster, into second Evolve, and then second Bloodlust, you know. But most of the important cards now out of Gator's deck have been used. It's gonna be very difficult to find a way to get this lethal damage in, even though he has gotten codemonkey down to 17. So Pain is going to hit the Flame Tongue Totem. And Talon Priest will hit the Elise the Trailblazer, who will in turn hit the Light Warden. There's a devolve. Probably have to just use it. I don't think you can hold on to any card you draw at this point. Oh my, Lakari Fellhound. That's a 3/8 taunt, and that is hard to get through. Well, that's unfortunate. Not to mention there's a Scavenging Hyena with a beast on board. Yeah, I really do think like the window of opportunity was not seized upon early enough here, and that's really what happened. The longer the game goes on, the more that window just closes. Now we see the second Dragonfire Potion drawn, although the first one was created by a Shadow Vision, so
I wonder.
I'm just not seeing any way here for Gator to be able to find enough damage to get through anymore. Let's see, how much damage can codemonkey do right now? He could do 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Do 22 damage this turn.
I wonder.
No, 22, no, wait. 16, 18, 20, 22, 26 damage. You can do 26 damage this turn. You can get him to 4. I think you do it. Oh, actually, no. He has to put 2 damage into this. So we can get him to 6. We can get him to 6. It's still pretty good. But just going to hold back here. And a Bloodsail Corsair. About the most unimpactful card that could have been drawn. And that's going to do it. Codemonkey's going to take this series 3 games to 2. An amazing series, though. Both players went back and forth. And finally, in the end, came down to the last game. And Codemonkey was able to pull it out over Gator. Gator, unfortunately, went 0-3 with that Shaman deck, so I'm going to go ahead and guess the Gator won't be bringing that deck to week number 2 of the Hearthstone League. So, congratulations, Codemonkey. He goes to a 1-0 record. Gator will fall to 0-1, but it is still the first week. Lots and lots of time left available, so nobody's out of it yet. In fact, next week now, if you're 0-1, you get to play another opponent who's 0-1. So maybe the road gets a little easier if you lose on your first week. And Codemonkey will move into the winner's bracket and go on to play another 1-0 opponent in week number 2. By the way, I do want to point out that I think we have 68 players this season. So the biggest season of the Dills Hearthstone League yet. And that is great that it's been growing. So that means a lot of people have been having a lot of fun. And I really think that doing a lot of the casting and stuff and showcasing what is actually going on in the Dills Hearthstone League had something to do with it. I'd like to think so anyway. So thank you everybody who signed up for this season. We'll be doing a 2-week break in the middle of the season. So we'll have 4 weeks of action and a 2-week break where we'll do a little short one-off kind of tournament in the middle. And anybody who doesn't want to participate can just go off and take 2 weeks off. Then we'll come back for 4 more weeks, and then we'll find out who our top 8 is. So it's going to be a 10-week long season this time in Dills Hearthstone League, season number 4. But that was a fun first match. Thanks everybody for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, remember to subscribe, like the video. If you're watching on Twitch, stay tuned. More Hearthstone action coming your way in just a second.